You built a business people love, but behind the scenes, it's all on you. Vision to Grow is your space to lead with clarity, hire with purpose, and finally breathe again. I'm Chrissy, your no-fluff leadership expert, here to help you hire better and lead teams with less mess. Hello, and welcome back to the Vision to Grow podcast. I'm Chrissy, and I always say this every episode because I am genuinely excited every time I press record. But today I'm super excited to have the amazing Alisha from Mentoring Young Minds on the podcast. I have had the pleasure of knowing Alisha for a little while now. We met sort of earlier on this year. We've done some work together, which we'll talk through on the podcast. But Alisha is doing incredible things in the tutoring, mentoring space. So I won't go into too much about that. I'm really excited for Alisha to share the info about her business. She is the best person to tell you about it. But Alisha is everything that makes me want to do the job that I do. For me, it is getting behind incredible business founders that are doing incredible things and making sure that they are set up to grow with systems and with support. So that's a little bit of background in terms of the work we did together. But I want to welcome Alisha to the podcast and get her to jump in and do an intro. So welcome, Alisha. So happy to have you here.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
Yay. And we were just having a little bit of a chat off mic about all the incredible things that are happening in your business. So we're definitely going to dive into that today. But I think, in terms of the tone of this podcast, I think this episode is really for anyone who is building a service-based business model that is really based around people, humans, children, parents, and team. Because your business, and we knew this, Alisha, from when we spoke, anything to do with kids, education, I think tutoring, it's so in demand. We discussed that you never really had a problem with demand. It was more how you were going to scale it. And for you love what you do so much, and it had to come from a place of heart. So do you want to talk a little bit about the background of Mentoring Young Minds and where you sort of were at when we met earlier in the year?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mentoring Young Minds has been around for almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years the beginning of next year, which is really exciting considering most small businesses fail in the first 5 years. So pretty lucky that we've made it this far. We began just after COVID. And one of the big reasons why was I was tutoring on my own before that, being a high school teacher. I'd tutored since I started my uni degree, so nearly 20 years. It's been a long time. And after COVID, I was just seeing so many kids just be completely shattered by the education system. The support wasn't there through COVID that they needed. So many kids were falling behind. And unfortunately, during that time, there was just such a focus on getting the kids to do work that there was no focus on their mental health. And unfortunately, COVID had a really significant impact on the mental health of our young people. And for me, I wanted to do something that would support both their academics and their wellbeing. There were so many tutoring companies around that was just about churning out worksheet after worksheet. And I didn't want a service like that. I wanted to make our service really personalized, where we would check in with our kids every session, that we would make sure that they were okay first and foremost before we even focused on trying to fix or improve their academics in any way. So that's kind of where it all began, and, began really small with hiring 2 tutors. And now here we are 5 years later with almost 25 tutors, and we work with about 100 kids a week, which is pretty exciting. And yeah, just got to a point where I definitely needed your help in trying to make it where I was not the be all and end all of the business, considering I was still in the classroom.
Yeah. And I think I said to you throughout the process of when we did VIP day and the VIP experience, I think one of my favorite ideal clients to work with is teachers or ex-teachers, because you're such strong, capable, mostly women I work with. I'm sure there's strong, capable male teachers. I just have the pleasure of working with them. And you are literally every role when you're a teacher. So you're in and I'll get the wording wrong because I'm not from that background, but you're working to the curriculum, you're writing the lesson plans, you're in the room essentially commanding like a team or an audience of like 25 plus children, and then dealing with the parents, and then dealing with the interdepartmental stuff, in dealing with the education system. You can do all of the things and you can make it work. And then you finish up in the classroom, you have the paperwork to do, right? So you can do all of these things. Your skill set is so broad, but this is the place that I always get to with individuals from that background. Just because you can do it all doesn't mean you should. And I think that's where you'd gotten to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was probably pretty lucky. I actually had a background as a PA before I became a teacher. So I probably have the best of both worlds, where I actually understand how businesses work and finance and things like that. So, you know, taking that skill set then into and matching it with my teaching skill set to put them together to create a business, that was fine, and it was pretty easy. And majority of what I've done just through life experience, which, you know, has served me well. But unfortunately, it got to that point where I was really scared of letting go of anything, because I felt like if I didn't let it, if I let it go, maybe it wasn't going to be done as well as what I wanted it to be done. And because obviously it had been me for so long, I didn't have procedures or anything put in place to pass on to somebody else. So it just became a really daunting process, and the business grew far bigger than what I ever thought it was going to in such a short space of time. So, yeah, I definitely, as I said, needed your help to pull the business apart and make it easier for me to actually handle.
And also, I think probably the realization was also you knew that you wanted to scale it, and you could see this like glass ceiling, right, in terms of the growth, because as we said, you're one person, you're very capable, but there was a lot of it living in your head, which meant that you couldn't hand it over. So if you can service this, you know, you can hire a certain amount of tutors, you can service many clients, but you're hitting a block when your systems are not there, and no one can replace you, because then you can never take a holiday. At the time, you were still teaching as well. Is that right? You were doing still doing a few days a week, and what did that
I still am. I still am in the classroom 3 days a week, and trying to run a business on the side. So
you're not trying to run a business on the side, Alisha. You are running a business on the side. Like the numbers that you just told me are insane. You're not trying. You are successfully tutoring 100 children a week, right? And for me as a parent, it's not only that you're tutoring 100 students a week, you're also supporting 100 families a week. Like, I know I'm going down that pathway with my son. He will need that support. He's little, he's in year 1, but it's coming, you know, and anyone who steps into my children's lives, like it's huge support, because I think it's such a mental load on parents, and you always want what's best for your kids. So when people will listen to this podcast and they'll hear this from you, like how much you genuinely care. And that's what, as a parent, that's what I want to hear, you know, because we care, but we're not experts in everything, and nor should we be. We need to build that village. And if you're in the situation where you can bring that support on, amazing. And I would love you to talk about your services as well, because I know it's not just the tutoring, that there's other accessible services that you provide in terms of courses for maybe parents who are not in a position to send their kids to tutoring. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a few different options, even with the tutoring. We have the one-on-one support, which obviously is really targeted and tailored to the specific needs of the individual child. And this works really, really well with our neurodivergent kids and kids that have fallen, you know, further behind than just a quick fix. We have partnered tutoring, so 2 kids, 1 tutor, and it works really, really well with kids of the same age. Kids in the same class at school is a really, really great idea, but we also have siblings that work together, and we do sort of 15 minutes on with one sibling, then set them up with an activity where then we can work 15 minutes with the other sibling where they get the teaching side, then they go off and do the activity while we go back to the first child. And so that can work really well with families. They don't have to worry about someone coming in twice a week. It makes it a bit more cost effective for them. And then we have group tutoring as well. So up to 4 kids in primary school, up to 6 kids in high school, again, making it far more cost effective for families. And we've really honed in on skill sets then. So foundational skills that kids need in maths and English and things like that to help them succeed. Outside of that, we have programs that we have been running. So we have our Head Start to High School program, because we know the transition from year 6 to year 7 is such a huge transition. So this course actually pushes kids through and teaches them how to succeed in year 7 without turning up on day 1 and having no idea what they're doing. So it talks them through not only procedures and policies that schools will have, it will talk through academics and how they can be successful, talks through time management, how to deal with stress, but also down to things that we find as teachers the biggest issues in year 7 is friendships, their wellbeing, managing a huge workload that they are not used to, and how they can actually build connections with teachers, because instead of having one teacher for their whole year, they now have so many teachers and they don't build that same level of connection and feel as safe, I think, sometimes with high school teachers as what they did with their primary school teacher. We have study skills set programs, we have HSE programs, and all of these have a parent element to show parents how they can support their kids at home too. So we know that education is not just about one child. We know that it takes, as you said, a village to actually support a kid. And we know that parents want to do what's best for their children. We know that parents want to help their kids at home. And if we can provide them some tricks and tools to be able to do that before they even think about tutoring, these kind of are those more cost-effective ways that parents can help from home with, I guess, a little bit of expert intervention along the way.
Yeah, and I love that. It's really, there's so many different options which are required and different needs, like you said, it's not that one size fits all. And, maybe you start off with something smaller and you build it. I love what you said about the year 7. It makes so much sense. You kind of go from this well, my experience of it, you go from this parent teacher relationship almost when you're in primary school to, you're like the school quadruples in size, you're moving around to go to different lessons. And I was always an extrovert. I was always a bit we call it in the UK, we call it Marmite, but I guess it'd be Vegemite for teachers. So I think that's that neurodivergent ADHD bit. There were certain teachers that I could build really good rapport with when I was really interested in their subjects, and other things I would find really hard. So I'm sure you would pick those challenges up dealing with students.
Absolutely. One of the hard things being a high school teacher is just remembering the names of the 150 to 200 kids that you start teaching at the beginning of the year. It sometimes takes you, especially for really good kids, the quiet ones, sometimes it takes you a good 3 to 6 months to actually remember their name, because they're not the kids you have to keep referring back to. And you feel awful as a teacher that it takes you that long. You can list what they're really good at, and you can, talk about their quality of their writing, or the way that they can pick up a pencil and draw really well, or something like that. So much about them, but their name is something that doesn't stick because of the fact that you just see so many kids. And, it's really hard to sometimes build that rapport, even if you, for me, I am such a welfare and rapport-driven teacher that even for me, it sometimes takes so long. And you feel awful because that kid matters so much to you, but something just does not click with you remembering their name, and they'd never find that in primary school.
What is it like being a teacher in 2025 in Australia? What's your experience?
It's hard. It's really hard. The actual teaching component, being in the classroom and supporting the kids and working with the kids, is the easy part. Do I sometimes feel like the curriculum is not what the kids need? Yeah, sometimes. I think that what we're learning now is maybe not what needs to be taught in 2025. Do I feel that there are so many additional needs with kids in the classroom? Yeah, absolutely there is. And do we have the time and the ability to help every single one of them when sometimes we're only seeing them for 50 minutes at a time? No, we don't. It's really hard. And I think for someone like me, it's because I want to be able to do so much more with those kids, and you just can't when there's 30 kids in a classroom and you're trying to fly through how content heavy the curriculum is, and you're trying to tick all the boxes that you need to tick, and you're trying to assess them. So yeah, it's hard. And then on top of that, you do have the kids who are just disrespectful or don't see a value of education, and they challenge and push back on everything that you're trying to do to support them. So yeah, it's a very different job to the one that I walked into 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I love hearing that perspective. So thank you so much for sharing. I want to take you back to sort of May, June time. That's when we started talking, and I think you'd heard about me, or you'd been referred to me from another like absolute boss babe in business. So when you came to me and you started inquiring about the VIP day, where were you at? What did your business look like? And more importantly, what did your job look like at the time within your business?
So what did I look like, me personally at the time? Probably an empty shell. I was totally and utterly burnt out. I had gotten to a point where things had gotten so big and so busy, and I was trying to manage everything, that I got to the point where just before I messaged you, I don't think I'd opened my email for like a month, because it just was too overwhelming to read another email and think, I can't find a tutor for you. I don't even want to open it because it was just too hard. I completely burnt out. I was very apathetic towards everything. It was at the point where, is this the right thing for me right now? So yeah, when I saw your service about, helping me pull business apart and making it feel easy, it was like, this is a no-brainer. It was something that I definitely needed, or it was close the business down. And I didn't want to do that, because I know that there are so many kids that we are helping, and I know there's so many more kids that we can help. So it was hurry up and book it in, and let's get started. So business was booming. It was manic, really. We had a team probably of about 17 or 18 tutors, I think, at the time. And they were all full. The wait list was ginormous, and everything just became very, very overwhelming.
I'm going to be really clear on that point, Alisha. So there was you,
yeah,
one human, and managing a team of 18 people that were fully booked with demand through the roof. There was no other support for you at that time.
No.
So you were all the operations, the team lead, the client-facing person, the social media. You're literally that chick in the reels that like, I'm finance, I'm social media, I'm marketing, I'm all of the things. And, no wonder you felt fucking burnt out. You're doing the job of like 7 people, right?
Yeah, and being a mum to 2 under 2.
Yes. Yeah. Let's not even go there.
So totally, like, life was great.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think what held you steady through that, and that was one of the first things that we said, is I said to you, I think, when we had that initial chat, is I really need to know that you care about this business, because that's what's going to get you through, right? We knew the demand was there. We knew you could scale the team, but I needed you to fall back in love with it. And the only way we could get you to fall back in love with the business is kind of setting you free a little bit and carving out your role, carving out your time, and getting you support. So I think that was, for me, to work with people in this VIP day services, it is so important that we're aligned, because you got an in-demand business, like a tutoring business, where you pop up a Facebook post about your services and it goes nuts. Yeah. I know I can help those businesses grow. It's not a question for me. It's systems, it's processes. For you, obviously, what we did on during that time, it was really tightening up your hiring, recruitment, how you manage that team, but then also tightening up your client processes, your comms. So that was definitely, I was like, I want to work with you. I can do this, but I needed to know that you were going to be okay. So I think one of the first things that we really focused on that VIP day call was really like, Alisha, I want to really nut out a job description for you right now, and then this is so interesting, we'll touch on this more, but we talked about January, February 2026, because on your timeline, you were making some really big decisions about whether you were going to be teaching again. So did you want to talk about what that felt like on your side of things? So that you being the center of your business in our conversations, because I think that is quite different versus how other people work, where they make it all about the business and less about the CEO. And I was very like, we need to make sure you're okay first, and you're living in alignment with what you want to do, with your energy, with your small children, and whether you want to teach or not. So do you want to talk about how that sort of felt at the start of the VIP day?
Yeah, absolutely. So before VIP day, like, I obviously have always been really passionate about what I do. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. But it did, like, the whole idea of me holding on to everything was heavy. It was really heavy. And the fact of when we met in that VIP day and you saying, I can actually take that heaviness away, was amazing to hear that, because it was like, I don't need to lose that passion and that love for what I do, and I don't need to let kids down, and I don't need to let families down. I can actually make this be something that is going to support more people and more kids versus having to walk away from it. So yeah, totally amazing that the weight that it lifted from me was incredible. To think about all of these other things too, like obviously my processes were very ad hoc. And so to think about the fact of how I can make those easier, even if it was just me staying in the business and not having extra support, was also like huge. Just going, hey, even if I couldn't find the right person to come and work with us, then I know that there are different things I can put in place that is going to alleviate at least some of that heaviness. But yeah, it was great just to have somebody, a different set of eyes look over my business, I think was one of the biggest things, to kind of go, hey, like, this is what you're doing and you don't need to do this. This is not the role of somebody who runs a business. And as I said, like, you know, I'd worked in business before, but as a PA, you do everything. So for me, that's probably where that mindset came from, that I had to hold on to everything because that had been my job before.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when we actually sat down and you pulled everything apart and it was like, hey, if we remove this and we remove this and we remove this, this actually gives you so much of your time back. And that meant that there was so much more of my time that I could give back to the families that we work with.
And it was also, you know, I talk a lot about people and support, but it's not always a human. It's also, you know, you had some pretty impressive technology in there but it wasn't fully leveraged, you know. Right. So that was one of the things I did. I was like, what can this tech that you're already paying money for, what can it do? Like, how can we supercharge it? How can we, you know, make it a better experience for the parents in terms of empowering them to self-serve, so less questions are coming through to you? How can we dial up your sort of invoicing and money collection services to make it more easeful? And then when we do communicate with the team, how can they self-serve? And your tech that you had in place could do all of that, yet you were doing it. So we looked at that definitely as a layer, but I think we really wanted to push you more into the top end approval, the face of the business, the captain steering the ship and the face of the business, not the person who did everything. Yeah. So we did work to get you administration support right away. And that happened super quick from memory.
Yeah, like within 2 weeks, I think that I had 2 VAs that had started with me, one like an admin support and one that really was like focused just on the tech in our business and how we could alleviate the tech that we had or minimize some of that tech and consolidate, which has been a bit of a game changer for us.
Yeah, I think definitely, because so that's what we assess really quickly. And it's always like, you know, hiring team, bringing in support and bringing in humans where you're paying wages. Yeah, there's a bit of a chicken and an egg. Like, you need the people to drive the demand to serve the clients, but that can cost you money that takes away from your profit margin. So we actually mapped all that out as well, didn't we? So I think we mapped out, you need this many students so you can reduce your teaching days by this many. you need these systems to be in place to allow you to have less hours. And that was all really strategically mapped out and on a timeline. And I really want to put this in context of what your plans were personally for the teaching side. So you told me something really exciting at the start of the call on where you are now versus where you were in June. Did you want to share that?
Yeah. So my goal was, I do remember saying to you that it wasn't necessarily to leave teaching, but it was to try and reduce another day, so to drop down to 2 days. However, I have made the decision that as from next year that I'm at least taking a year off from teaching, whether that's going to be a permanent year off or whether it's going to be a let's take next year and then maybe head back to the classroom. I do love what I do, and I think that's where my decision has always been like hard, but I'm very excited to spend at least next year just focusing on our business and the services that we have and the many things that I've always wanted to implement but never had time to do. So yeah, there's going to be so much more around the support that we can give to families. And the best part is now, because having the right team in place, is that I can actually work with each family individually. So there is more about me getting to use my expertise in the teaching space versus me answering an email all the time, because of the fact that I have the right team. So yeah,
and the right systems to empower the team as well, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, cool. And then they'll just keep growing because you've got really solid foundations. Would you agree that back then you were probably the bottleneck in your business? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, 100%. Especially when I didn't open my email. That's definitely a bottleneck.
It's a bottleneck as well, but I get it. Like, and I think for some businesses, they'll be listening to this, where you are chasing demand more so for your clients. There are a lot of businesses where you always have to drive the demand, but there are certain businesses, like I think trades is great, like hairdressers, right? Like every single town you go to, there's like 5 hairdressers.
Yeah.
The demand for hairdressers isn't going anywhere. People always need to get their hair cut. They always need to go to the dentist. People need tutors. They need cleaners. They need those service providers. You need allied health, the demand for that isn't going away, but it's literally gonna bottleneck you, and you're gonna hit a ceiling if you cannot manage that demand because the processes aren't there, but also you've not got a process to bring the support in. And also at the time, I don't think there was a real clean process to bring in tutors quickly and onboard them quickly, so that you couldn't, there was 2 things happening. You weren't getting the support with the business operations, but you also weren't able to service the demand of the tutors by hiring tutors quickly. And that's what we did on VIP Day, is we really focused on that. What support does Alisha need to run the business, and how do we understand demand, and how do we fill that demand with hiring and having a repeatable hiring process? And essentially that's what we put into place.
Yeah, for sure. Before that, it was definitely a failure. It was a lot of failings.
I don't think you need to be so hard on your plate. I don't think be so hard on you, because I wouldn't have worked with you. I didn't think it could work. So it's just exactly what I'm saying. It's that you hit that glass ceiling. Like, you've done so much and got it so far, and you needed that boost and that support. And without that, yeah, you probably, like, there's a good chance you would have thrown the towel in. And how devastating for those 100 children that you're now helping and beyond, because it's going to skyrocket next year. We know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then you don't get to fulfill your purpose because you're maxed out, and like, that's why I'm saying it always comes back to the energetics of the business owner. I talk about this all the time. It's becoming a really common theme in my conversations. But what is going on what are your life factors? What are your hormones doing? Like, if you got a baby hanging off your boob, you're in a very different place to someone with a teenager. Different, both stressful, both different worries, but you're holding different things. If you're looking after an elderly parent, but also your energetics. Like, does it work for you being sat in front of a laptop from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. every day? Probably not, especially if you're used to being in a classroom. So therefore, we need to make sure that your role matches what you love and your energetics.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like now it does. There is a lot more strategy from my side around the education side of our business versus me doing a lot of the admin. So, yeah, it's a lot. I get to use a lot more of my passion and my skill and, the reason behind the business more than just spending my energy doing the admin side.
So what in terms of the team, the students, what is the growth been from in the last 6 months since we initially started to talk?
So we are now up to about 25 tutors, so probably a growth of 7 or 8 tutors, and we have a team of 4 admin support, one that is admin, one that is tech, one that is marketing, and one that is finance. So definitely has taken a lot off of my plate, which is really nice. And the amount of students that we're now servicing is probably an extra 25 to 30 kids. A lot of those have come through into our group sessions, which is really exciting, as we only introduced that this year. So definitely seeing a bigger drive there, which is really good too.
And what's the plan for 2026 when you're no longer teaching and you're full-time in the business?
So for me, one of the big things that I want to do is use the business to actually provide more support to teachers as well. So the kids that we work with, trying to do a lot more of that collaboration with the classroom teacher, making sure that what we're doing in our sessions works with what's happening in the classroom. So a real holistic approach, I guess, and a real partnered approach, as you said before, taking that village that a kid has around education and making all of us work together. We've got trying to expand across different areas. So Sydney, we've always been sort of based in the Sutherland Shire. So we're now pushing out across different areas of Sydney and up to the Central Coast and Newcastle for
Yeah,
hopefully
that's where I am.
sessions.
Come see my son.
Yeah. And then also looking at really expanding our online presence. So honing in on online tutoring too, so that we can push across New South Wales. We want to do a bit of work working with disadvantaged kids. So doing some free sessions and free mentoring with, kids that have come from DV backgrounds or really, really broken childhood scenarios where we want to try and help them get a better start in life. So really trying to take what we've done and just, make it even better.
And make more impact, right? Because you can
100%.
now, because you've got the bandwidth. You're not like so reactive. You've got the clarity, you've got the support, you've got the headspace. And how amazing is that? Like, everything you just said gave me goosebumps, and I think that's where we need to get to as business owners if we can. If we get to a point where we're more free, our systems are set up, our team is happy, and we have free time, like that is, I know this is why we're so aligned, and we've talked about this before. That is my value. It's using the business as a vehicle to make impact and make social change. I don't talk a lot about my personal situation. Alisha does know what it is, but you talked about DV, and that is a subject so close to my heart because the impact it has on the community and on children and on families, right? So if we can get to a point as women in business who can scale our businesses to a certain point, have more free time, and we've got a platform to use our voice to make social change. I mean, that's definitely where watch your space, it will be coming for me. And I am so excited to watch you step into that as well. That's so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Not everybody has the same, not everybody has like a perfect life, and to be able to give people opportunities to make their lives better in the long run, when we've got skills that can actually support and help other people, then why would we not be able to do that? If everybody gave a little bit of time back to somebody less fortunate, then how much better would the world be? Yeah,
100%. It makes me so happy. Now, in terms of if you achieve so much in your VIP day, I'm obviously not saying it's just a VIP day. You obviously work very, very hard. But if there was someone who was looking at the VIP day who was an in-demand service-based business, they were feeling that they needed a leg up in terms of sorting their systems out and setting themselves up for scale, what would you say to that individual?
Do it. Pretty simple. Do it. And I have said that to a few people, and I know that one of them has definitely worked with you since then. So, yeah, I would definitely say spend the money. It is worth it. It definitely takes a huge weight off your shoulders, but one of the best things that it does is it just gives you more clarity. I think when you're sometimes so deep inside your business, it's hard to see how you can make something better because you just kind of feel like, well, it's working, or you don't have enough time to make something better. And to have a fresh set of eyes on what you're doing just makes things so much clearer for how you can progress and how you can grow, or just how you can get yourself some time back. And time is the most precious element, right? So, to just have time back is well and truly worth it.
Yeah, and I think it's the eyes on your business, but also I'm not a coach. I talk about that all the time. I'm a real action taker. So we spoke, I got the eyes, I teased out of you what was going on, and then I got in there, and the amount of assets you got at the end of the day as well, right? It's not a day of talking, it's a day of me talking to you for 90 minutes and then me getting into your business and giving you one strategy to fix your systems that you can plug and play in. But also I created you all assets in terms of this is your hiring process. These are the job descriptions. This is how you advertise. I think there was also a recruitment strategy that involved social media. It was the whole thing, because my hyper-focused ADHD state goes into overdrive on VIP day, which is why I only do like 2 of them a month, because it's a big energy. It's an amazing energy outlet for me, but I can't do that many of them because I give it absolute beans.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The amount of support throughout that day, the messages constantly coming through, and, I was kind of like, what she needs this, quick, hurry up and get that to her, to make sure that you were using your time as productively as you could and that I was getting the most out of it. It was just incredible to just have you constantly, coming back and asking something else or checking in on how I felt about something. And yeah, with what I got at the end, it definitely has been a life changer for our business.
Thank you so much, Alisha. That's really powerful. Look, I think it's been really exciting to learn about what you do. I've got a little game that I want to play with you. So anytime I get a guest on our podcast on Vision to Grow, we do a little game called the CEO Shuffle. So it's just, we talk a lot about strategy. We talk a lot about business. And I want to have a bit of fun before you go, so our audience can get to know you a little bit better. So I'm going to ask you 4 to 5 questions and quick fire. You tell me what you think. So I don't want you to overthink. I just want you to go with your first instinct. So where do you get your best ideas from? Are you an early morning person or a late at night person?
Early morning.
Yeah, cool. Have you ever looked into chronotypes?
No.
I'll send you some stuff on it. I talk about that a lot, but once you understand your chronotype and your energy levels, I'm also an early morning person, also a morning strategy and ideas person. So I will share that with you. Okay. What is one system or habit you couldn't live without as a CEO in your business?
I don't know. System or habit I couldn't live without.
It's hard when you got little kids.
Yeah. My habit is probably getting up early to do what I need to do. So if I didn't have that hour in the morning without my kids, I'd probably never get anything done.
Yeah. I think that's good as well. And that's like exactly what we said. Lean into your energetics. You're a morning person. They're not up. It's that quiet part of the day. Like I'm not, personally for women, I'm not a big believer in that whole 5 a.m. club. I think it's crap. I think it's about understanding where your energy is. I'm the same. I'm a morning person. I love getting up early in the morning, but I've got team members who are like, I do my meetings in the day and then they sit at night and then they just like sit and think and mull over and plan their day. And that works for their energy levels. Yeah. So I think it's about being aware of energy levels, not like some dude who's probably got a wife running his life and subscribing to his ideology. What was your biggest leadership lesson of 2025?
Believe in myself.
Oh, I love that. As if you didn't believe in yourself before. You're amazing. If you're overwhelmed, what is your go-to reset?
The gym.
Nice. And in one word, what does success feel like right now for Alisha?
Exciting.
Yay. I love that. So amazing. I think we could spend a whole nother episode just unpacking those, but I will let you go. It's been amazing. Now, you've talked a little bit about what's going on in 2026. Where can my audience find you on socials, website? Hit me with the info and we will be sure to share it in the show notes.
You can find us, our website at www.mentoringyoungminds.com.au and our Instagram is at mentoring.young.minds.
On Instagram. Okay, perfect. And I'm so excited for everything you've got in store for next year. I know that we'll be in touch. And I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast today. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Audience exclusive.